23 and I'm just working out how I've been mapping out how the right tracking of this. And I say this because it's so important to go week to week. Like, you break something down, but you still have to understand that there's overall phases. So I'm like, okay, I would consider this phase 2 now. Like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 as I'm building it out. And how I feel like the reflection of myself, what I'm looking at in my body, what emotions I'm going through, what changes, and everything else too, right? Because without changing, so the first state of just changing the timing of the eating and what goes in that, because your body, if you just start, like, some people can do this, right? Here's a plan, here's a thing, and that's just what they're going to follow, and they're going to follow this, and that's complete changes. But this is what I've traditionally found, and this is right, because diets and changes and lifestyle changes and whatever else are for consistency and longevity and all of those things. For a lifelong change, right, a lot of that times fail. Most people fail when they do that. And then they restart another plan, another thing, and they go like this for so long in their lifetime without understanding why, though. And it's okay to actually, it's okay to actually do this if you understand at the core why you're doing what you're doing, the dialogue within yourself, the thoughts, and what feelings and emotions are triggered, and then how you can reboot and change to make yourself a superhuman, right? That's actually so that those past things don't affect you. And that's why, like, getting rid of the layers and the emotions, right, are so important. In particular for people who have been food addicts, emotional eaters, yo-yo dieters, their worth has been connected to their body, weight, appearance. So understanding that, because that dialogue sometimes we're not even aware of. How much we actually look and judge people's bodies or as a reflection of ourselves for a comparison, how much time we're spending on ourselves. Most people, we don't actually stop and look at ourselves in the mirror and have a conversation and be kinder to ourselves versus just like these quick narratives of putting ourselves down throughout the day. That's what I realized. I'm like, I am so mean to myself. Holy cow, all the time. No wonder I have so much weight pushing on me, because my internal dialogue, even though I've spent the majority of my life being a motivator, being, right, like, as even identifying that way and pushing other people and doing those things. But when it comes to myself, just the constant really shitting on myself is actually weighing me down. So I'm working through how I'm going to change that internal dialogue, so that I actually can then focus on the things to make the changes. Because a lot of the times, the reason we can't make the changes is our irrational thinking and dialogue from things that aren't necessarily true, and beliefs that aren't necessarily true. So coming from, it's like reprogramming the brain of a lot of the stuff. So as much as I had, 20 plus years of experience in nutrition, food, what to eat, what not to eat, workouts, all those things, I'm actually saying, you know what, maybe clear it and learn something new. Maybe I'm wrong, right, in a lot of ways. Like, there's some stuff I'm right in and stuff I'm wrong in, and just letting go of the judgments of things and being open to new ways of doing things. And that's actually a tricky part, because I've catching myself in weird hang-ups and weird beliefs. And this is, like said, so society, so as an example of that for some people, right, like, right, at one period of time in life, in the media, right, fat's bad. So if you kind of grew up in that era of that time believing that, and now the shift of so many things are going toward eat fat, that's a contradicting thing for the brain for people to conceive or believe, right? So there's, and I'm not doing this yet. And I think for a lot of people, like, it could be, right, because it's like the ketosis diet I was debating, but I'm not in a place where I'm yet ready. And this is kind of the part of the process, like, of the phases, that because of the other things I need to be learning and doing and the changes I'm making, I just have to be aware that that's too much for my body to process right now for learning and changing with what I have to do. So it says you can do everything, you just can't do everything all at once. So maybe one day that will be something I go with, but right now that's not, right? But still being able to go, okay, can you still be like a fat burner and not be in that? Is that possible? Yes. And understanding the difference in the balances, because there's so many other things in nutrient dense foods and understanding. So it's like reprogramming that brain in different ways. So if somebody had a brain that was believing that if you're not in ketosis, so sorry, you have to follow that type of diet, and if you're not going to be a fat burner. If somebody has that belief, well, they're going to have a hard time, right? Because you're going to be so focused and so worried about, right, breaking from that cycle. That would actually be a psychological, that would screw up your head if you weren't in a place or an opportunity to have and eat like that. So that's what I'm saying, just being aware of those things in the first place, and then what you have accessibility to, what you have the option to get help with or from, what foods are available to you, what you can cook, what you can't cook. Like, there's so many different factors. That's why you have to find what's right for your life at this present time, and then work yourself out to the next thing, But at the end of the day, asking yourself, has your weight loss goals or your appearance in some way affected your other goals in life? Is it really held you back from being your, best self? Like, are you spending a loop time in always weight loss goals versus like, okay, I want the new job or career? Maybe you're stuck in a bad relationship or a different thing, but you're said, well, if I was better looking, or if I was better, like, you've settled, right? Maybe not. I don't, right? There's so much. All I'm saying is we don't even recognize when we're stuck in something. If you've continued in your life to set the same weight loss goals or weight loss goal and appearance, and that's kind of your cycle, versus like breaking free from that and actually exploring other areas of life, because there's other areas, right? Health, wealth, relationship. And if we were to break down all the different categories, have you mastered all the categories, right? Like, I know I haven't, right? That's my personal challenge to myself. That's what I'm working through. And ironically, as it came back to something I thought I had worked through, I'm like, oh, now why? Because I'm healing it even deeper, so that it's like, I'm like, okay, this isn't a factor anymore. It wasn't a factor until my body shut down. And then I'm like, hold on, I have to go back and revisit and go deeper. And that's been my challenge in this process, like what I actually think of my body, where it goes, and where I've limited myself, right? And then that's the creation of, going through this process to help other people. And this is just that's how I'm creating it for those things, to understand myself. And I'm realizing that it's working. But it's the therapy component to that, versus this is what you have to do, this is why, because like, I have to understand my body's going to change, your body's going to change, we're going to age, like, those things are going to happen. So just working that out. So this is day 23, and feeling like, okay, more motivated to want to learn more about what would be better options for my body, because I want energy, I want to feel good. So coming from a very depressed state, not feeling good, to feeling a bit more clear-headed.